The galaxy is in chaos. Endless stars sparkle in the dark void of space, but beneath the surface of peace, a ruthless empire has been quietly growing in power. The Kraith Dominion, a terrifying and highly advanced alien empire, has spread its control across vast areas of the galaxy. They are not interested in peace or coexistence. They only crave power, and they rule with an iron fist. In the farthest corners of their empire, where no one dares to venture, is the Vixor mining colony. It's a bleak place, a planet that has become a nightmare for anyone unlucky enough to be sent there. Alien species from all over the galaxy are held as slaves. They mine for precious resources that the Kraith Dominion desperately needs to fuel their war machines. The slaves, broken and weary, work under the harshest conditions, forced to dig for minerals, their backs bent with exhaustion, while the ever-watchful Kraith overseers keep them in line with the threat of death. The camera zooms in on a group of these slaves, their faces covered with dirt and despair. They move through the tunnels, hunched over, but there's a spark of something in their eyes. Hope. It's fragile, but it's still there. Among them is Zora, a young telepathic alien. Zara's species has been oppressed for centuries, and she's grown up seeing the worst of the Kraith's cruelty. Her mind is sharp, and she can hear the thoughts of others. But it also means she can feel the pain and sorrow of those around her. In the darkest, most secluded part of the colony, Zara and a few others gather in secret. They've been planning for days, working against the clock. They know that any sign of rebellion will lead to swift punishment, death, torture, or worse. But they have no choice. Zara and the others have managed to steal precious equipment, and using the scraps of old technology, they've managed to create a secret communication system. With trembling hands, Zora activates the device, a signal meant for anyone who might listen, anyone who might care. The message starts to broadcast, a desperate plea sent out across the galaxy. Please, someone, anyone, help us. We are dying. We are slaves. We cannot fight back alone. Please, save us. Zora's voice cracks with emotion as she sends the signal. As she speaks, the camera focuses on her eyes, filled with hope and terror at the same time. This is the last chance for these aliens, for all the slaves who are suffering at the hands of the Kraith Dominion. The signal travels, moving faster than light, racing across the stars. It reaches the most distant corners of the galaxy, spreading through space, its echo carrying the sound of their pain. The camera then shifts to another part of the galaxy, the planet Earth. Here, humans live in a world of peace and prosperity. But far from their reach, on the edge of the galaxy, a cry for help is ignored by every other civilization, who are either too scared or too selfish to answer. In their view, the suffering of these distant aliens doesn't matter. Earth itself is still far behind in space exploration compared to the other galactic empires. It's considered a young growing species, unimportant in the grand scheme of things. Back on Earth, in a small high-tech listening post buried deep beneath the surface, a group of humans monitors the depths of space. They are part of a top-secret government program meant to listen for alien signals, but they've heard nothing significant in years. The humans at the post remain calm, uninterested in what they think is just another failed signal from a distant civilization. The vast, cold emptiness of space makes them skeptical. No one cares about a faraway plea, especially from unknown alien races. But then, a strange signal flickers on their screens. It's not like anything they've seen before. The pattern is erratic but strangely familiar, a distress signal. The human operator in charge, Lieutenant Marcus, begins to analyze it. The signal is weak, struggling to push through the void. It's a cry for help, but it's also a call for something more, for rescue. However, even though the signal is faint, it doesn't go unnoticed. The operator's hands hover over the controls. He could easily dismiss it as another faulty signal, just like the countless others before it. But something pulls him in. His curiosity gets the better of him. Could this be real? The camera then switches to Captain Adrian Steele, a young officer on a different ship, a veteran of a dozen space missions. He's known for his leadership, but also for his desire to make a real difference in the universe. Adrian is sitting in his quarters, staring out into the stars, lost in thought. Earth is a peaceful planet, and the idea of risking everything for a distant, unknown cause seems like madness. But something about the signal lingers in his mind. He can't shake it off. As he listens to the message once again, his mind races. What if it's real? What if someone out there is desperate? Should we help them? He knows that responding to this signal could mean the end of Earth's safety. The Kraith Dominion is a ruthless empire, too powerful for humans to take on. Earth might be vulnerable. But despite the risks, Adrian understands that humans are different. Humanity's greatest strength is its willingness to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. That's the nature of humankind. And that's what makes them unique in the galaxy. Adrian's decision is made. He contacts the team and informs them that they are launching a mission to answer the distress signal. The stakes are high, but the mission is clear. The humans must help the alien slaves, even if it means taking on a force far more advanced and dangerous than anything Earth has ever faced. As he watches the monitors flicker to life, Adrian knows that they are on the edge of something huge. The Kraith Dominion is not something to take lightly. But the message is clear. If no one else will help these aliens, then humans will. The humans are the underdogs of the galaxy, but they are also the ones who can make a difference. As Adrian's ship, the Valkyrie, powers up, the camera focuses on his determined face. He knows that what comes next could change everything for Earth. He stands tall, ready to face the unknown. For the first time in a long while, Adrian feels the weight of history on his shoulders. The camera fades to black as the Valkyrie launches, leaving Earth behind. The tension is thick in the air as the ship accelerates into the depths of space, toward a new galaxy, toward a new hope, and toward a deadly empire that has no idea what's coming. The decision to launch a rescue mission is not one that Captain Adrian Steele takes lightly. As soon as the order is given, he begins assembling a team of the best and brightest humans for the most dangerous mission Earth has ever faced. These aren't just ordinary soldiers. They are experts in combat, stealth, and engineering. They are the best humanity has to offer, and each one is driven by the same core belief. They will not turn their backs on the oppressed. Adrian personally selects Lieutenant Marcus, the communication officer who first intercepted the distress signal. His quick thinking and resourcefulness will be crucial for coordinating the mission. Alongside him is Dr. Emily West, an engineer and expert in human tech, particularly in the field of cloaking devices. Her genius will help keep the mission under the radar of the powerful Kraith Dominion. Then there's Sergeant Tyler Nash, a seasoned fighter with years of experience in dangerous battle zones. His knowledge of tactical combat will be key in ensuring the team's survival once they reach the Vixer mining colony. Finally, there's Zoe, a tech specialist who's brilliant at hacking into alien systems. She's known for being quiet and reserved, but when it comes to breaking through encrypted systems, she's unmatched. Together, they make up the elite team that will board the Valkyrie, a state-of-the-art stealth cruiser. Designed for covert missions, the Valkyrie is equipped with advanced cloaking technology, allowing it to blend into space and avoid detection by even the most sophisticated alien sensors. It's the perfect ship for this mission, but it also comes with a heavy price tag. The Kraith Dominion will never let them get away unnoticed. As the team prepares for launch, Adrian takes a deep breath. He knows the stakes. They are not just facing a rescue mission. They are defying the Kraith Dominion, one of the most advanced and ruthless empires in the galaxy. If they fail, humanity could be wiped out before they even get a chance to fight back. But if they succeed, they could change the course of history. Meanwhile, back on Earth, there is a tense debate in the United Coalition Command, UCC. The UCC is made up of the world's most powerful military leaders and political figures. They are all aware of the Kraith Dominion's terrifying strength. To make matters worse, The Kraith have been expanding their influence and resources for centuries. Earth, a young and relatively weak civilization, stands no chance against them in an open confrontation. Should we really risk everything on a single mission? General Davis Hawk argues. A failed mission could leave Earth vulnerable. The Kraith will take revenge on us all. The other military leaders murmur in agreement, the idea of challenging the Kraith feeling like a death sentence. But then Adrian Steele's voice cuts through the tension, loud and firm. I understand the risks, Adrian says, standing before the command table. But I've made my decision. The Kraith are oppressors. They enslave innocent beings, and they've done it for too long. We've all heard their cry for help. We were once slaves ourselves. Earth has a history of fighting for freedom. It's who we are. His words hang in the air, and the room goes quiet. The weight of his statement is undeniable. We cannot ignore their cry. Adrian continues, his voice filled with raw emotion. We have a responsibility to stand with those who cannot fight for themselves. If we turn away now, then we lose everything that makes us human. For a long moment, no one speaks. But then, one by one, the commanders nod in agreement. They understand now. This isn't just about a mission. It's about something bigger. It's about fighting for the values that define humanity. Freedom, justice, and compassion. General Hawk, who had initially been skeptical, now steps forward. Captain Steele, you have our support. The mission will proceed. A surge of relief and pride fills Adrian. This is the moment that everything changes. Earth will fight for those who cannot fight for themselves, no matter the cost. With the blessing of the UCC, the Earth fleet begins to prepare in secret. They know that if the Kraith Dominion ever finds out about the mission, the retaliation will be swift and deadly. But Adrian and his team are determined. They will stop at nothing to save the alien slaves. The day of the mission arrives. The Valkyrie is ready for takeoff, its sleek design glowing with a faint blue light under the shadows of Earth's orbit. The crew assembles, their faces set with determination. There is no turning back now. Each person knows the dangers they will face, but they are united by a single purpose: to bring justice to the oppressed. As the Valkyrie lifts off from Earth, the tension is thick in the air. The mission is a carefully calculated operation. The ship must travel to the Vixor mining colony, deep within Kraith territory, and rescue the enslaved aliens before they are discovered. The journey will be long and dangerous. They must navigate through asteroid fields, avoid enemy patrols, and ensure that their presence remains hidden. Dr. Emily West monitors the ship's cloaking systems, her fingers flying across the holographic console. Cloaking systems online, Captain. We should be invisible to their sensors. Zoe, sitting next to her, taps away at her own terminal, scanning for any potential threats. I'm also jamming their communications. They won't be able to alert their fleets about us. Captain Adrian Steele stands at the front of the ship, watching the stars streak by as they leave Earth behind. His mind races with possibilities and risks. The mission must succeed. If they fail, there may be no Earth left to fight for. As they enter deep space, the ship glides silently through the void. They are cloaked, invisible to the eyes of the galaxy. The Valkyrie's advanced stealth technology keeps them hidden, but it's a fragile protection. One wrong move, and they could be discovered. The team must stay alert. They know the Kraith Dominion has eyes everywhere. They are not just fighting to rescue slaves. They are also fighting for Earth's survival. Then, a warning blares across the ship's speakers. A Kraith warship appears on their scanners, moving through the asteroid field ahead. It's an enemy patrol, and they are on a collision course. The ship's cloaking device will keep them hidden, but only for a short time. Hold steady, Adrian orders, his voice calm but full of urgency. We can't be detected. Emily, maintain cloaking. Marcus, stay on alert. The Valkyrie weaves through the asteroids, narrowly avoiding detection. The crew works together with precise coordination, using the asteroid field to shield their movements. The tension in the ship rises as they get closer to Kraith territory. The further they go, the greater the risk. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, the Kraith warship passes by without noticing them. The crew exhales in relief, but they know the danger is far from over. Adrian stands tall, looking ahead. They are almost there. The Vixer mining colony looms in the distance, and with it, the chance to make history. The mission has just begun, and it will be their most dangerous challenge yet. But Adrian knows that the stakes are higher than ever. If they succeed, they will not only save countless lives, they will send a message to the galaxy that humanity will never stand by and let the powerful oppress the weak. As the Valkyrie approaches the colony, the crew braces themselves for what's to come. They are about to enter the heart of Kraith territory, and the real fight is only just beginning. The Vixer mining colony was a desolate place, far from the bright stars and thriving civilizations of the galaxy. Once a thriving hub of alien activity, it now lay in the cold grip of the Kraith Dominion, a place where hope seemed to have died. The Valkyrie had approached the mining colony under the cloak of invisibility, moving through the empty space like a shadow. Captain Adrian Steele and his team were now poised on the edge of a dangerous mission, infiltrating the Kraith-controlled colony, finding the enslaved aliens, and setting them free. The humans had spent days preparing for this moment, learning all they could about the colony's layout and the various alien species who lived there. There were telepathic aliens who communicated by sending thoughts instead of words, amphibious species who thrived in water and lived in submerged cities, and robotic beings programmed to maintain the colony and protect the Kraith Dominion's interests. These aliens were oppressed, living in constant fear of their Kraith overlords, and Zara, the telepathic alien, was their link to the outside world. When the Valkyrie landed in a hidden sector of the colony, deep within its dark and crumbling structures, the team disembarked under the cover of night. They moved silently, their cloaking technology making them invisible to any surveillance systems in place. As they made their way through the dark alleys of the colony, the sounds of distant Kraith patrols echoed in the background. The air was thick with the smell of minerals and sweat, signs of the harsh life these enslaved aliens led. Zara, who had been awaiting their arrival, was one of the first aliens the humans met. Her glowing blue eyes flickered in the darkness as she approached Captain Steele, her form barely visible in the shadows. She was a telepath, which meant she could communicate directly with the minds of others, bypassing the need for spoken language. Through her mind, Zara sent a powerful message. "You are our last hope. The Kraith are merciless. They enslave us, work us to the bone. Please, you must help us." The message was clear, and it hit Captain Steele's heart like a punch. This wasn't just a mission to help the oppressed. It was a mission to right the wrongs that had been done to countless innocent lives. These creatures, who had done nothing wrong, had been crushed under the weight of the Kraith Dominion's cruelty. Captain Steele made eye contact with Zara, nodding in solemn understanding. "We're here to help you. We'll get you out. All of you." At first, the meeting between the humans and the aliens wasn't smooth. The alien leaders were skeptical of humans. They had seen many races before, races that promised them freedom but failed to deliver. The Kraith had manipulated many species, and the last thing they wanted was to trust another race that could end up abandoning them once more. One of the alien leaders, Tar, a large amphibious creature with slick, green skin and webbed hands, spoke for the others. "Why should we trust you?" His voice echoed in the minds of the humans, a chilling, deep sound. "You are just like the others. Weak, insignificant. The Kraith will crush you, just as they have crushed us. We have nothing left to hope for." Captain Steele's team stood firm, knowing this was a critical moment. They had to prove to the aliens that they weren't just another set of empty promises. "We may be small, but we fight for something that the Kraith have forgotten. Freedom," Adrian said, his voice unwavering. "And if you help us, we will bring that freedom to you." To prove his point, Adrian motioned to Dr. Emily West, who stood beside him. She was carrying a small device in her hand, sleek and powerful, a human eye-powered combat drone. Emily tapped a few buttons on her wrist terminal, and the drone sprang to life, hovering silently above them. It was small but deadly, its metallic exterior reflecting the dim light of the colony. This drone, Emily explained, is equipped with advanced AI that allows it to think, adapt, and act autonomously. It can neutralize threats, defend us, and provide support in the most dangerous environments. Zara's eyes widened, and Tar, who had been skeptical, leaned in closer. "What is this? Magic?" he asked, his telepathic voice filled with awe. "It's technology," Adrian replied. "And it's just one example of what humanity can offer. We may not be as powerful as the Kraith, but we have the will to fight. And that's what makes us strong." The alien leaders looked at each other, their faces unreadable. Finally, Tar nodded slowly. "Very well. We will trust you, for now. But remember, our lives are in your hands." The humans had gained the trust of the alien leaders, but the real test was about to begin. Their mission was far from over. As Captain Steele and his team made their way deeper into the colony, they had to move quickly. The Kraith patrolled the colony regularly, and any sign of disturbance would alert them to the humans' presence. The cloaking technology on the Valkyrie kept them hidden, but now they needed to stay under the radar within the colony. One mistake, and they would be discovered. The humans used their advanced technology to sabotage Kraith patrols, sneaking through narrow corridors and slipping past security cameras with ease. Emily activated a small EMP device, disabling a group of Kraith's security robots that patrolled the area. The robots froze, their movements jerking before going completely still. "This way," Emily whispered, signaling to the team. The group navigated the colony's maze of tunnels and chambers, moving swiftly and quietly. But every second they spent inside brought them closer to danger. The sounds of Kraith soldiers searching the area grew louder. Suddenly, an alarm blared. "Warning! Intruder detected," the automated voice announced. Red lights flashed across the walls. The humans froze. The moment of silence was broken only by the frantic pounding of their hearts. They had been detected. "Go! Go! Go!" Captain Steele shouted, signaling the team to move. The pressure was on now. They had to escape the immediate danger and complete their mission. The group rushed through the dark corridors, using their cloaking technology to avoid Kraith soldiers rushing in their direction. The enemy was closing in, but the humans moved like ghosts, barely visible to the naked eye. Every corner they turned, every doorway they slipped through, brought them closer to the heart of the colony, and to the enslaved aliens who awaited their rescue. But the Kraith soldiers weren't far behind. They were relentless, their mechanical precision making them a dangerous foe. Sergeant Tyler Nash was the first to spot them, a small group of Kraith soldiers rounding a corner. Without hesitation, he activated a small grenade launcher attached to his suit, launching EMP grenades that disabled the soldiers' weapons and temporarily fried their circuits. "We're almost there," Sergeant Nash said, breathless but determined. "We've got this." But even as he spoke, the alarms grew louder. The Kraith knew something was wrong. The humans were running out of time. As the team neared the heart of the colony, they encountered a group of enslaved aliens being held in a massive chamber. The scene before them was horrifying. Aliens of different species, telepathic, amphibious, and robotic, were chained to the walls, their bodies battered and bruised. The Kraith had used them for labor, working them to death without remorse. Zara's voice echoed in their minds again, filled with sorrow. "They've suffered for so long. Please hurry." But before they could act, the sounds of Kraith soldiers pounding toward them grew louder. The humans had one shot at this, and they had to make it count. The clock was ticking. The Kraith were closing in. This was the moment that would decide everything. The tension was thick in the air, as Captain Adrian Steele's team finally made contact with the enslaved aliens in the heart of the Fixer mining colony. The shackles on the aliens' wrists and their defeated expressions were evidence of a long life of oppression. But now, after so many years, the spark of hope had finally been lit. The humans had arrived to free them. The humans moved quickly, cutting through the chains and escorting the weak, battered aliens to the secret passageways of the colony. Zara, the telepathic alien, led the way, using her abilities to guide the humans safely through the winding halls, evading Kraith patrols. As the last of the slaves were freed, a soft whisper of relief spread through the group. For the first time in a long while, they could breathe easy, knowing they were safe, at least for the moment. But that feeling didn't last. A loud, deep rumble shook the ground. A massive shadow loomed overhead. The unmistakable outline of a Kraith Dreadnought-class warship appeared above them, blocking the only escape route. The Kraith had found them. The human team scrambled to prepare for the battle that was now inevitable. The Valkyrie, their stealth ship, was their only hope, but it was already surrounded by Kraith battle cruisers, their weapons powered up, ready to obliterate the ship. "This isn't just a trap," Steele said, his voice grim. "They knew we were coming. They'll stop at nothing to crush us." Outnumbered and outgunned, the humans were faced with a dire situation. The Kraith, with their superior numbers and firepower, had an overwhelming advantage. But the humans weren't ready to back down. "We fight," Steele said, determination in his eyes. "We fight because we must." The team moved quickly, setting up barricades in the colony's narrow hallways, preparing for the worst. As the Kraith Dreadnought's first volley of missiles blasted toward the colony's surface, Steele ordered the humans to defend at all costs. The battle erupted. The once silent corridors of the mining colony were filled with the sounds of battle. The Kraith soldiers, their massive armored forms marching forward, met the humans in fierce close-quarters combat. Steel clashed against steel, and the humans fought with everything they had. Hand-to-hand fighting broke out in the hallways, with humans using knives, blasters, and their military training to engage the Kraith soldiers. The humans' cloaking technology was no longer effective in this close-range combat, so they relied on their weapons and sheer willpower to hold their ground. The Kraith were relentless, but the humans fought like they had nothing to lose. Steele, his face grim, led the charge, taking down one Kraith soldier after another. His team fought fiercely at his side, each person knowing what was at stake. There were no long-range missile strikes now. This was up close, personal, steel on steel, with every punch, every shot, and every clash. The humans were showing their true strength, their determination to survive. The cloaking technology allowed them to strike from unexpected angles, gaining small but crucial advantages. But the Kraith were fast learners, and they quickly adapted to the humans' tactics. In the middle of this chaotic battle, the tension between life and death grew unbearable. Captain Steele, with his mind focused on the mission, turned to his friend Sergeant Bonner, a veteran soldier with a reputation for being tough and unwavering. "Bonner," Steele shouted, "we need to get to the Valkyrie. We've lost too much time." Bonner nodded and moved toward the exit with a few others, but their progress was cut short by a group of Kraith soldiers blocking their path. The group was forced to fight their way out, but it wasn't easy. Just as they were nearing the exit, a massive explosion rocked the hallway. Bonner was caught in the blast. The team turned, horrified, to see him lying on the floor, his body covered in blood, but his eyes still open. "No, Bonner," Steele screamed, rushing to his friend's side. But Bonner, with a faint smile on his face, grabbed Steele's arm. "It's okay," Bonner said, his voice weak but steady. "Go, finish what we started. You're the one who can do it." Steele's heart ached. Bonner was more than just a soldier. He was a friend, a brother in arms. His death would not be in vain. But the loss weighed heavily on the mission. Bonner's final words would be etched in Steele's mind forever. "For freedom, Steele." Never forget that. With one final look at his fallen comrade, Steele nodded grimly. The humans had no time for grief. Bonner's sacrifice had to fuel their determination to continue the fight. We fight for freedom, not just for ourselves, but for him, Steele said, his voice filled with conviction. Let's go. The fight raged on as the humans made their way to the Valkyrie. They could see the massive Kraith ships above them, their weapons aimed directly at the colony. It was a race against time. If the humans didn't act fast, the entire colony would be reduced to rubble. Inside the Valkyrie, the crew was preparing for a difficult escape. The Valkyrie's stealth tech had served them well up until now, but the Kraith were on high alert. The ship had to break free, and fast. Steele knew they needed to disable the Kraith Dreadnought-class ship to make their escape. The only way to do that was to use a graviton disruptor, a powerful weapon capable of interfering with the Kraith's gravity systems, making their ship vulnerable. Prepare the graviton disruptor, Steele ordered, his eyes scanning the battlefield. We've got one shot at this. The team was on high alert, every hand steady, every eye focused. The humans aboard the Valkyrie launched a series of evasive maneuvers, dodging incoming fire from the Kraith warships. The sky above them was filled with explosions, debris, and the roar of massive weapons. Just as the Dreadnought-class ship locked onto the Valkyrie, Steele gave the order. The graviton disruptor fired a powerful beam of energy that struck the Kraith ship directly. The ship's gravity systems malfunctioned, causing it to drift aimlessly, vulnerable. The humans, using the moment of weakness, engaged in their final push to escape. The Valkyrie shot forward, tearing through the Kraith fleet with stunning speed. But the Kraith weren't done. Their weapons locked onto the Valkyrie, and the ship took heavy fire, shaking with every blast. Red lights flashed inside the Valkyrie as alarms blared. The crew was fighting for their lives. Steele, we're taking too much damage, Emily shouted from the control panel. We can't stop now, Steele yelled back. Get us out of here, Emily. Now. The Valkyrie shot through the chaos, narrowly escaping the final barrage of Kraith fire. The ship blasted into open space, leaving the Kraith forces behind. But the Kraith knew where they were now. Their counterattack had failed, but the humans had no illusions. They were far from safe. As the Valkyrie sailed into the cold expanse of space, the humans and their alien allies shared a moment of relief. They had escaped, but at a high cost. Bonner's death had been a reminder of the stakes of their mission. The fight for freedom had just begun. As the Valkyrie drifted into the vast expanse of space, the crew allowed themselves a moment of fleeting relief. They had escaped the immediate threat of the Kraith forces, but that didn't mean the battle was over. Their mission was far from complete, and the Kraith Dominion had already mobilized its most devastating counterattack. The Kraith retaliated swiftly. Soon, a massive armada of Kraith warships appeared on the radar, darkening the void of space. These were no ordinary ships. These were flagships, towering behemoths designed to annihilate anything in their path. As the Kraith ships closed in, Steele knew that this time, they wouldn't be able to rely on stealth alone. They would need a final, all-out assault to escape with their lives, and the future of the galaxy hanging in the balance. Steele glanced over at Emily, the ship's lead engineer, who was monitoring the incoming fleet. Her face was pale, but there was no fear in her eyes. She had seen the worst of war, and she was ready to do whatever it took. "We've got a problem," she said, pointing at the screen. "They're targeting us with everything they've got." Steele clenched his fists. "Get us into position. We've got one shot at this." The Kraith fleet was vast, and their warships were more than a match for the Valkyrie. The crew had no choice but to make a desperate stand. The Valkyrie was heavily outgunned and outnumbered, but the humans weren't alone. They had reinforcements, human-made, AI-controlled warships designed for one purpose: to turn the tide of the battle. As the Kraith warships loomed closer, Steele gave the order. "Deploy the AI fleet." The eye-controlled warships shot out of the Valkyrie's bay, their sleek, angular frames cutting through space like a swarm of deadly wasps. These ships were equipped with advanced weaponry and autonomous combat drones, capable of overwhelming the Kraith's superior firepower. But that wasn't all. The humans also had orbital bombardment weapons in place, capable of leveling entire Kraith positions on the surface below. The idea was simple. If they couldn't win the battle in space, they would make the Kraith pay on the ground. The tension was palpable. As the first volley of missiles launched from the Valkyrie's bay, Steele's heart raced. This would be a fight to the death, a battle that would decide the fate of the galaxy. The camera zoomed in on the action as the battle began in earnest. Eye-controlled drones swarmed around the Kraith ships, engaging in high-speed dogfights and launching a barrage of missiles. The Kraith, known for their brutal tactics and superior weaponry, fought back with ruthless precision. But the humans had the advantage of their AI technology, which outmaneuvered the Kraith at every turn. The Valkyrie itself was engaged in the heart of the battle, darting between Kraith ships, avoiding incoming fire, and launching devastating counterattacks. Laser beams lit up the darkened space, leaving trails of light as they whizzed by. The Kraith ships fired relentlessly, their weapons thundering through space, but the humans' advanced shields absorbed much of the impact. "Steele, we've got incoming," Emily shouted from the control panel. "Brace for impact," Steele yelled. The Valkyrie shook violently as a barrage of missiles exploded around it. Steele gritted his teeth and barked out orders. "Deploy the countermeasures." Now, small countermeasure drones burst out of the Valkyrie's sides, creating a cloud of interference that jammed the Kraith's targeting systems. For a moment, the Kraith ships were momentarily blinded. This was all the opportunity the humans needed. "Full power to the weapons," Steele ordered. The Valkyrie's engines roared, and the ship dove toward the nearest Kraith Dreadnought-class ship, firing powerful blasts from its main cannon. The Kraith ship's shields flickered under the assault, then collapsed completely. The ship exploded in a violent burst of fire and debris. But the humans weren't done yet. In the distance, the AI warships were continuing their assault. Their drones swarmed the Kraith fleet, weaving in and out of the massive warships. The drones were agile, moving at incredible speeds as they launched missiles and engaged in hand-to-hand combat with Kraith fighters. The camera followed one drone as it executed a perfect maneuver, dodging incoming fire, and then firing a missile that struck the Kraith ship's weak point. The Kraith warship erupted in flames, sending shockwaves through space. "Target locked on Kraith flagship," Emily announced, her voice steady. "Fire," Steele commanded. The orbital bombardment weapon deployed, releasing a devastating salvo of powerful projectiles aimed directly at the Kraith flagship. The massive warship's shields flickered, but the bombardment was too much. It exploded in a spectacular burst, taking several smaller Kraith ships down with it. With the Kraith flagship destroyed, the remaining Kraith forces began to retreat, but they weren't done fighting. Steele knew this was their final chance to break the Kraith's will to fight. "Graviton disruptors, ready," Emily shouted. The graviton disruptors, an experimental weapon created by human scientists, fired with incredible force. The beams hit the Kraith warships, destabilizing their gravity systems and rendering them useless. The Kraith ships began to drift, their weapons disabled and their movement slowed. It was as if the very fabric of space itself had been bent against them. The Kraith fleet, once an unstoppable force, was now a shell of its former strength. Humanity had gained the upper hand. Steele, watching the chaos unfold, allowed himself a small breath of relief. "We've done it," he said, his voice quiet. "We've turned the tide." But the fight wasn't over. The Kraith leaders, watching from their command posts, were frantic. Their entire strategy had been shattered, and they were struggling to maintain control over their forces. The Kraith had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. "Steele," Emily said, "we have full control over their communications. We can end this now." Steele nodded. Let's finish this. The human warships moved in for the final assault. With the Kraith fleet in disarray, the humans launched a final wave of attacks, pushing through the Kraith defenses and sending their remaining warships into retreat. The Kraith had fought fiercely, but now their empire was on the verge of collapse. As the last Kraith warship flooded into the dark void of space, Steele allowed himself a brief moment to reflect. The battle had been hard-fought, but humanity had proven its strength. They had faced an overwhelming enemy and had emerged victorious. "We've done it," Steele said softly, his voice filled with quiet pride. "For freedom, for the future." As the Valkyrie and its allies drifted into the quiet of space, the galaxy knew that this battle was just the beginning. The Kraith may have been defeated for now, but the fight for freedom, for peace, and for the survival of the galaxy had only just begun. The hum of the Valkyrie's engines echoed through the ship as the crew stared out into the vast, silent space. The battle against the Kraith had been won, but the victory felt hollow. As the Kraith fleet was destroyed, the humans had gained an undeniable triumph over their alien foes. Yet, for Captain Steele and his crew, the cost was heavy, too high to ignore. The loss of Bonner, Steele's friend and a veteran soldier, hung like a dark cloud over the crew's morale. Bonner had given his life to ensure that the rest of the team could escape. His sacrifice was a blow to everyone, especially Steele. The bond between them had been forged through countless battles, and now, in this final stand, Bonner had fallen, a hero in the truest sense. Zara, the telepathic alien who had become their ally, could feel the sorrow of the humans even though they didn't say a word. Her telepathic connection to the crew allowed her to understand their grief on a deeper level. The bond she shared with Steele and his soldiers had grown throughout the mission, and now she felt their loss as if it were her own. The alien alliance, formed in the heat of battle, had been secured through their shared struggle. Zara had witnessed firsthand the bravery of the humans, how they fought not just for survival, but for something greater. But still, the weight of the loss was undeniable. The camera zoomed in on Zara's eyes, her face reflecting deep sorrow. "Bonner," she whispered telepathically to Steele. "He was brave. His sacrifice will not be forgotten." Steele nodded silently, his eyes focused ahead. "We'll honor him, Zara. We'll honor all of them." With Bonner's death, the crew knew that their victory had come at a terrible cost. The final push to free the enslaved aliens had been difficult, but the Kraith fleet's destruction felt bittersweet. The alien species who had once been under the thumb of the Kraith now stood free, thanks to the humans' efforts. Yet, in the midst of their victory, there was a haunting emptiness. As the Valkyrie continued its journey, the human crew reflected on the weight of what they had lost and gained. The mission was a success, yes, but the scars would last forever. And for Captain Steele, the responsibility of leading these brave men and women, now in mourning, was both a privilege and a heavy burden. The Kraith dominion was shattered, their fleet in ruins. But with their defeat, a new reality had emerged for humanity. The battle was not just one of survival. It had become a defining moment for humanity's role in the galaxy. The alien species once oppressed by the Kraith now looked at humans not with distrust, but with admiration. In the aftermath of the battle, Zara, along with several other alien leaders, gathered to address the humans. The telepathic alien's presence was both calming and commanding, her aura of wisdom and power evident as she spoke to the crew. "We owe you everything," Zara said, her voice calm but full of deep emotion. "Without you, we would have remained enslaved to the Kraith. You have changed our future, and in doing so, you've changed the galaxy." Zora's words resonated with the crew. They had come into this battle not knowing what to expect, but now, the humans were seen as protectors, allies to those who had suffered under the Kraith's oppressive rule. The alien species, from the amphibious Vixers to the robotic synths, all expressed their gratitude. It was clear that the human race had earned a place among the stars, not just as survivors, but as warriors to be reckoned with. "We will fight beside you, Steel," Zora promised. "Humanity has proven itself. We will join your fight whenever the need arises." This moment marked a significant shift. The humans, once isolated and overlooked in the galaxy, were now recognized as a powerful force. And as the alien leaders pledged their allegiance, the camera captured the quiet but formidable unity forming in the galaxy, a unity that could stand against any enemy, especially the looming threat of the Kraith Dominion. The alliance between humanity and the various alien species wasn't just a fleeting arrangement. It was a bond forged in fire. The future was uncertain, and the dangers were still many, but humanity had proven that they could stand tall in the face of overwhelming odds. The universe had watched, and now it would have to reckon with Earth's new place in the stars. As the Valkyrie made its way home to Earth, Captain Steele stood on the observation deck, gazing out into the endless expanse of space. The stars seemed to beckon, each one a reminder of what had been accomplished and what lay ahead. The Kraith were not defeated. They had merely been wounded, and Steele knew that their thirst for revenge would not go unquenched. "We did what we had to do," Steele said, his voice low but resolute. "But this isn't over." The camera zoomed out, showing the Valkyrie as a small speck in the vastness of space, heading toward Earth. Behind them, the remnants of the Kraith fleet drifted aimlessly, defeated but not gone. Steele's words lingered in the air, heavy with the promise of more battles to come. "This is just the beginning," he murmured.